Welcome to the Commonwealth of Learning's podcast series. The title of this series is Sustainability and Growth: Women Leaders Driving Long-Term Success in NGOs. I am Dr. Ann Wallace, and I am your host. The development of civil society and peace in the world are but some of the commitments of the Commonwealth of Learning. In its quest, CALL supports institutions around the globe by helping them to solve local problems with local solutions. In this podcast series, we seek to illustrate to women and girls the importance of service to community by highlighting the sterling work done by female NGO leaders around the world. Today, our esteemed guest is Mrs. Chetna Gala, Sinah, the holder of the Nari Shakti Puraskar Award, the highest civilian award for women in India, presented to her by the President of India. She is the founder and chairperson of Mandishi Mahila Sahakari Bank and Mandishi Foundation, dedicated to empowering rural women and fostering holistic community development. She is a Yale Fellow. She is an Ashoka Fellow, and she is a Schwab Fellow. She's a social entrepreneur, a microfinance banker, an activist, and an awe-inspiring female leader. As the founder of India's first woman-led rural bank, Chetna Gala Sinha has empowered over 1 million women, proving that financial independence is first about finding ways to break barriers with resolve before having access to money. As a young student in 1981 in the University of Mumbai, she was inspired by the call of activist Jaya Prakash Naranya for youth to work in India's villages. Influenced by his work, she left city life behind and moved to drought-stricken regions of Maharashtra, where she saw women breaking stones in extreme heat, a scene that stayed with her. That is one of the many trials encountered by the rural women she worked with. Now, the entire time allotted to this interview would be usurped if I were to mention all of her achievements. Then we would need another interview time to mention her accolades and awards. Suffice to say, propelled by the injustices she observed, that not only is she responsible for opening India's first women-led bank with branches in Maharashtra, Karnataka, and Silvassa, she is responsible for introducing doorstep banking for women who could not get to the bank, for introducing digital wallets with biometric recognition for women challenged by remembering the PIN numbers. She is responsible for the first pension scheme for rural women in the informal community, and for opening a business school on wheels, which has trained 80,000 women in financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and digital skills. She's also responsible for running a woman-led radio station. Of the women she has encountered and helped on her journey, she says, never give poor solutions to poor people. They are smart. Their courage is their capital. It gives me great pleasure to say, welcome, Madam Chetna Gala Sinha.
Namaste. I'm honored to be here for this podcast, and thank you, Anne, and thank you, COL, for inviting me for this video podcast.
Thank you. It is really my pleasure. I will start off by saying that usually an entrepreneur takes a risk to start a business, knowing that he or she has the knowledge, the background, the skills to nurture and sustain and develop that business. But you chose to start a business with women whose literacy level was almost non existent. Did you see that as a risk?
So, and actually, when I decided to start this bank and the foundation, I wasn't starting any business actually. That is what, or did not have any, that starting the business with women in my mind. As you mentioned before, that I was in Mumbai, I was studying, I was in my undergraduate program. And when I met this Gandhian leader, Jayaprakash Narayan, who was actually appealing students all over the universities and telling them that real India lies in villages and the young people should go and work in the villages. I just got very fascinated with this idea. And
Mhm.
so I felt that, I want to work in the villages. So I traveled with him in the countryside, all over India, at the age of 24. Not even like I was at that time, my age was 21, and I was traveling all around. And when I came in Satara district, where this, in Maswad, where women were working for the wages, I saw them in summer, they were working and breaking stones. And at that time, it was 48 degrees Celsius. I just felt it is so inhuman. And in that, when I saw that frame was in my mind, and I was thinking that if these women, what work they are doing of breaking stone in 48 degrees Celsius, and this work, if you imagine when this work people do in India, when you get a rigorous life imprisonment, when you have done some very rigorous crime, then you are supposed to do that in the jail. And I
Mhm.
started questioning myself that is it these women, should they do that work? But it was just a drought area, there was no work, and so women were doing this construction of the road. And in middle of that, when I went and I was talking to women, you know what, women were saying that we are working, we are earning, and we want to do savings. So when
Okay.
they said about the savings, and I said go to the banks. So that was when these women went to the banks, and the bank manager said that, you know your savings are too small, so then your account, we cannot open your account.
Okay, great. That is quite a situation. But I read that when you went to the bank to get the license to open a bank for these women, and the Reserve Bank refused, that you cried all the way home on the bus. And I'm thinking at that time, I'm asking myself, why did she bother? Why did you bother? There you are, you were a graduate from the university. You could have gotten a job anywhere you wanted, even in the same Reserve Bank, you could have gotten a job. Why did you bother?
You know what, Anne? That it was very like when I decided and I was talking to women simultaneously. I mean, how did I land up here? That in this Gandhian movement, I met my husband, who is a farmer, working with farmers in this area, fell madly in love with him, and I decided that he's working with the farmers, I want to work with women, so I will leave Mumbai and stay here. And my
Okay.
family was devastated that you won't be able to survive. But I did say that I have decided that I'll be working with these women. So on one side, it was simultaneously happening that, I wanted to plan my future life here. That is number one. The
Mhm.
second, when I mentioned that women wanted to do savings, I'll share with you a story of Kantabai, who
Mhm.
is actually was doing a business of blacksmith, and
Mhm.
she was sitting on the street. She didn't have a place to stay also, and she said, "I want to save." So I was like, do you even have a money to save? And she said that, what, I don't have house. I'm staying on the street. I want to buy a tarpaulin sheet so that I can give shelter to my family. So these questions were coming in my mind, that they are not asking any grant from the government. They are not asking any loan from the bank. What they are asking is safe place to save. So my whole, then I felt that it is their right. And
Mhm.
that was actually, and then I went with Kantabai, as you mentioned,
Mhm.
to the different banks, and they denied opening the account. That made me firm that they have, it is their right to do it. And these women, in spite of that situation, the one thing I learned from them at that time is that actually I was questioning that, do you even have a money to save? But for me, the learning was that even poor people want to save, and there
Mhm.
is no facility available to them, and they lose. These women, they used to keep their savings in the boxes, somewhere
Mhm.
hide in the house, and then when their husbands would come or the other members would come, and they will use it for like drinking and other thing, liquor. And these
Mhm.
women actually worked so hard, but they couldn't save. So I felt that, we have to do, and they themselves were so much committed to it. So I said,
Okay.
and as Anne, you mentioned that, Reserve Bank denied the license, right? And I was crying and coming back in the bus. But when you said that, how did you bother? I felt like, when I was telling women, and I did think that we are not getting license. But when I talked to women, you know what they said? Why are you crying? We will learn to read and write from today. When will apply again. So I felt that in this situation also, they are not losing their confidence. They want to create a bank. They
Mhm.
are committed. They are ready to read and write at night when after working. Then
Mhm.
when you have such a committed, confident and courageous group, you just feel like that is the energy you get to set up the bank.
Wow. Now, I could very well understand now why you did indeed, but even at that very young age, you were committed to them. But I'm just thinking that you started working with rural subsistence farmers, and I just wonder what steps you took to transform them from the mindset of just subsistence, just farming for themselves, to a business mindset. What was your transformation process?
So I used to see women, either they are doing farming, cattle rearing, or they are street vendors selling fruits on the street, and they always wanted to save. So let me give you an example that one lady, that is Manda, and she was doing business on the street. And when she was selling fruits and vegetables on the street, when we started the bank, she used to have a three saving account. And in morning she will save some money in one account. In afternoon she will save some money in account. And evening when she would sell her product and go back, she will save money in another account. I
Mhm.
asked her that, why do you have three saving account? So she told me that, one account is for my children's education. So whatever I earn, 10% of that account I keep there. One account is that, we need medicines and anything in emergency. So I save that much because they don't have insurance or something.
Mhm.
Then she said that one account while going, I keep the money because I require a working capital. Of course, she was not using the words like working capital, but
Right.
she was that I would want to buy something. So I
Mm-hmm.
did realize that, these women are very, very smart. What
Mm-hmm.
they are, of course, they don't know that, how would you have the financial planning and how would you scale the business, but they have that talent of business. Then I felt that
Mm-hmm.
there are so many such women, either they are doing cattle rearing or they are selling vegetables, or even if they are working on the fields, they are rearing one goat.
Mm-hmm.
So there is need for them that whatever they are doing is like not only just for their livelihood or that, but somewhere they are also thinking of managing finance. So it's like a business.
Yes.
You Why don't we do something? And these women have never been to the school. So then we thought that, that if there are so many such women, and if they are doing these, it's not just livelihood, but it's also a business. So then we decided that, why not start a business school for these rural women?
I see. Well, when I listen to it now, when you tell it now, and when we see the success, it's almost impossible to imagine the difficulties and the challenges. Would you share with our viewers just a few of the challenges that you encountered in the beginning? I mean, we know the difficulty with the bank and so on, but what other challenges did you encounter in getting this movement?
Sure. So, very briefly, of course, as you mentioned, and that, the challenging, as in the introductory remarks you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
That central bank told us that actually these women do not know to read and write, and how are you
Mm-hmm.
going to bank? And so when I, as I mentioned, I came back that we are not getting the license. Women were like so firm that we learn to read and write, and they said. So I was like, okay, they are ready. So we went again after 5 months, and then we went to the central bank, and I wasn't sure what these women are going to talk. But these women told central banker that, we cannot read and write, but we can count. That was a very important lesson for me. And they said that ask us to calculate the interest of any principal amount. If we fail, don't issue the license, but tell your officers to do it without calculator. So these women were addressing the challenges, and
Mm-hmm.
then our discussion went on for 2 hours that how this bank is going to operate, and they were as if they were creating and sharing that what is the journey they are thinking in their mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so with this discussion there was like positive approach on even central bank side, and
Mm-hmm.
we got the banking license, and first rural women with no outside investor. It was all community capital,
Mm-hmm.
capital from women. We just started it. But when we started the bank, and the another thing, like very when we inaugurated bank, with everybody was so happy, but very next day I saw that women were not coming to the bank. So
Mm-hmm.
I went to them and I asked them that there was so much excitement when we are setting up the bank. Why is it that women are not coming? So they said that if we come to the bank, we lose the working day. So then I thought that if they cannot come to the bank, bank will have to provide a doorstep banking to them, which means bank will go to them because they are busy. They just have to work hard. They cannot afford to come to the bank. So we design such products. I'll
Mm-hmm.
explain one like how mistakes I
Mm-hmm.
did and learned
Mm-hmm.
from women. So we had designed one nice box where women can save, because I thought that they will be saving in coins. They have a very micro earnings.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we bought 7,000 box, very, very attractive, having
Mm-hmm.
Mickey Mouse on that red color box, and distributed to our women that you save in these boxes, and when the boxes get full, you don't have to come to the bank, but the representative will come and transfer that amount in your bank account, and so you will be able to keep saving.
Mm-hmm.
And then after 15 days, one woman came with the broken box. She was furious. And she said that whose stupid idea was this? And I said, why And she said that, you know what? Before your representative come and transfer my saved amount into my bank account, my husband broke the box, took away all the money, and spent in drinking. Who is responsible for that? So I said, it's my responsibility. But for me, my learning was that any product you design, you first check and co-create the product, check with them that is it working, because it is. And what was she telling me? She was telling me it is not just access to finance, it is control on finance. So
Yeah.
whatever banking products, when you are designing for poor women, the most important part is that, is this product, what she was saying, is going to help me to have control my finance? Is this product going to help me to create wealth? Because my learning was, and that when poor people save, poor women save, they always think about wealth creation.
Yes.
So that was actually, so such many challenges came, and we
Mhm.
designed these product in such a way that women get not only access but control on finance.
Mhm.
Women decide if they have a control on finance, they will have a power of taking the decision of their expenditure, because they
Yes.
have saved their income, they have that control, and they will decide where am I going to spend. And when these women decide where to spend money, they invest in the education and health of their.
Wow. That's that. Well, it's clear that the women had the determination and they knew what they wanted, even though they didn't know how to formalize it. And that is where you came in. But as you're talking, I think being born a woman, we are born with some societally imposed challenges. So I just wonder, in addition to what you've said of the of the husbands taking the money to go drinking, I wonder what challenges are there now for female NGOs or females in NGOs in India.
So actually, when you're working with the communities and for the females in NGOs who are leading the NGOs, right? That is
Hmm.
what I mean. I understand that you are addressing.
Yes,
The one thing I feel that, all these women leaders who lead, either it is a community organization, or it is a NGO, or it is like a women's bank.
yes,
The Everything starts from no. You will not be able to do it.
yeah.
Right? In that case, it is something, everything will say that when I used to go to the central bank, they would think these women, they will not understand banking. Why
Hmm.
not? We will
Hmm.
understand. So at the
Hmm.
society level, everything starts from
That
no.
no. Hmm.
Second thing, at the family level also,
Hmm.
everything starts from no, in the sense that, see, you are taking this responsibility. If something goes wrong, we are not here to support you. You will have to face, otherwise you leave our house. So
Hmm.
many women wants to either start the civil society organization. So many women who want to start the businesses. These women do not own properties. These women do not have collateral. These women, so the family will say that if something goes wrong, we are not going to support you. So
Hmm.
then the thing is that actually, and there are no networks. Even
Ah.
if the banks are, if somebody wants to start some social enterprise, the bank
Hmm.
will say that, no, you don't have collateral. So there is no network where you can go to the friends and families also. And the most important part I always feel is that women have to actually, when they start anything or run the NGOs or run the organization or run or lead the civil society organization, they also have a family responsibility.
Yes.
Where I'm sharing today with you a very personal thing, and that I have eldest son and then I have twins.
Oh,
When
nice.
when I had delivered my twins, I was in the process of setting up the bank. And there was some news that some report of central bank has come. So I had delivered my twins, and next day I got to know that. And so I said, okay, I want to read the newspaper. So next day after delivering my twins, I was reading a newspaper, and doctor came and told me, what are you doing? You have delivered just your twins and you are reading newspaper now? And I was like, you know what? I need to read the newspaper. But then I just laughed and I said that, I am actually taking care of my twins also, and the newspaper. But I just start question myself that will this happen with men anytime? No. So it's always like we have to. But at the same time, I would like to tell and that I never say about work life balance that I give this much time here also with the family, and I also work and I balance everything. Just cannot balance. It's I mean, you just have to do work, work, and work. So
Mm-hmm.
these challenges are that, and I would say today on this podcast that these women leaders, they face the challenges at family level where so many people will say like she's not giving enough time to her family. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe our children knows their moms are great and they
Mm-hmm.
are doing a great job. We may not be doing overparenting, and there is a network of your family. They also take care. So I do
Yes.
feel that we don't have to be super women like I can do everything. I can give enough time to the family. I can give enough time to other things, and
Mm-hmm.
then I will do what I am doing. I think
Mm-hmm.
our priority is whatever social enterprise or
Mm-hmm.
whatever civil society organization we have started, all of
Mm-hmm.
us have given the priority to that. So that is the one. And
Mm-hmm.
another third challenge, and I'll stop here, is that in public life, so many women are challenged, particularly in I would say that blocks out that the social norms are such that
Mm-hmm.
when people are going to criticize you, people are going to talk
Mm-hmm.
about you, people are going to gossip about you, people are going to make comments about you, which does not happen when men lead. So
Yes.
things also we have to face, and that's, I think, our peer networks
Mm-hmm.
help us if we make those to address those things. So these are
Yes.
the challenges, of course, women leaders face, and I always feel that never have a guilt that
Mm-hmm.
we could give time to our family. I
Yeah.
think our kids always say that we were growing and being mature by seeing your leadership.
Yes. Yeah. Very good. Very good. It's all part of the nation building. But as you're speaking there about these challenges and considering that women generally are not prone to studying finance and STEM kind of subjects, would you say that financial literacy is critical for running if a woman wants to run an NGO?
Yes, I would say that financial literacy is critical for women if she wants to run an organization or anything. And
Mm-hmm.
that actually I have learned from women only who are not
Mm-hmm.
MBAs, but they have not gone to high school also, no travel, no degree. Ordinary women, they did extraordinary thing. So what
Mm-hmm.
happened was that when we started bank and
Mm-hmm.
when we were actually setting up all the products and all, many women would come and they would say that we are selling milk, we are vending milk, we are setting up the businesses, but we want to actually plan scale the business, and we want to understand to manage the finance, do something. We are bank
Mm-hmm.
and we will provide all those services, but what can we do? And women were like, we want to manage finance. So then we decided that we set up the foundation, we start the business school for our rural women, and we design the course. So it's one financial literacy, advanced financial literacy. How do you manage finance? And many women, I remember one of our women, Parvati, she was actually running a chai stall, but she wanted to bring the snacks into. So with chai and snacks, she can sell, and
Mhm.
also wanted to set up the fast food stall. And she came to bank and she said, I want to set up the fast food stall. I will get loan from the bank. But how to do everything? I need the information. So then we decided, why don't we do a program of Deshi MBA for these women? So Mandishi
Mhm.
did Deshi MBA, where women are mentored for 1 full year, that
Mhm.
how are you going to manage your finance? How will you start the business? How will you do marketing? How will you do branding? And in this whole 1 full year, they are mentored, and we said Deshi MBA. And when we did this whole course in our business school and chambers of commerce for women entrepreneurs, you know what our women say? They say that other MBAs, they go from the to the universities, get the degree, and look for the job. But we
Mhm.
do MBA, we start the business, and we create the jobs.
Wow. You know, everything that you say, it is clear to me that you're not imposing anything on them. You are listening to the people and then you're coming up with solutions with them to help them in their needs. Now, your stories are on the internet, and I've listened to quite a few. And I listened to the story about Carabai. And I thought when I heard the question she asked, I thought, well, normally one would say that this is an absurd question. Why is she coming to the bank to ask a banker what to do about the drought? And I thought, well, I'm sure most bankers would say, what have we got to do with that? But you took a different approach. You engaged her, you listened to her, and you helped to work through her vision to a very useful end for the community. And it's clear that Karibai is an intelligent woman. She's talented, as it turns out, and she has foresight. So I'm just wondering, is Karibai an exception? Or is it that there are many Karibais out there who just need a listening ear and someone to give them a chance?
Absolutely. So, and as you mentioned that you have seen Kirabai on the internet, and Kirabai is radio jockey, right?
Yes.
Have never, I mean, of course, we had radio, but we would have never thought that because we were doing finance and banking and all our sectors, if you work,
Mm-hmm.
either it is a NGO sector or it is a civil society sector, how there is a lot of corporatization. Then they would say that focus on one thing, scale it, and be focused. And you also think, right, that is the right way.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But when Mirabai came to the bank, and her question was like, it is such a bad drought, and then why are you not doing anything? I'm mortgaging gold for fodder, but even I mortgage gold, I won't get water. And her question was that if I leave in search of water, with whom are you going to do banking? That, as you mentioned, that I couldn't sleep that night, and I felt like, okay, we are bank, we cannot do, but she is asking me to do something. So then we said, okay, we started cattle camp, and then we started program on water conservation through foundation,
Mm-hmm.
that bank cannot do but foundation can do. That whole approach of thinking is a community thinking, right? Women like Kirabai, or I would say that women like Parvati, who
Mm-hmm.
came who actually saved money in the fixed deposit and was withdrawing the interest every month. What
Mm-hmm.
was she telling? She said that why can't we do something like that, that at the old age we get some regular amount, we
Mm-hmm.
save for a long time. So she had designed by her own method of saving with the bank and getting the interest in monthly basis, sort of a pension scheme.
Yeah.
These people have how do we actually find out the solutions? It's a
Mm-hmm.
matter of listening to them, bringing that into the structure, and
Mm-hmm.
designing the product. So when this Kirabai also was like performing on the radio, we also realized that women like Kirabai who do not know to read and write, but she has a confidence that I can perform on the radio. And
Yes.
her art and talent of performing on the radio, how did she get it? In her interview, she has said that, at the age of 13, I got married. I was always hungry. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, at the age of 13, I got married. At the age of 14, I became pregnant. And I always was hungry. And to forget hunger, I started singing. So these communities, they have so much of talent. In that situation, she became like a poet and singer. And
Mm-hmm.
so these women, these communities, they have so many challenges, but they have solutions. And their
Yes.
solutions, and as I mentioned, are much smarter solutions. They are poor, but that's why I always say that, when you talk to people, these communities, poor people, listen to them,
Yes.
you will learn one thing is that you never provide poor solutions to poor people,
So
right?
true.
And even when we were designing our digital wallet, they didn't give up. They said PIN number is there, but we want to make sure that our wallet are controlled by ourselves. And so we not only did biometric and now we have a face recognition. When they use it, they say that nobody can steal our face. Somebody can
Yes.
force to give a PIN number. So in that negative social social situation are such that
Mm-hmm.
always a pressure on women that
Yes.
they may lose their control. But every time the solution they find is that they make sure that now we are generating wealth with our whatever small money we earn, and they
Mm-hmm.
make sure that wealth is created for the society. And these women, when they find the solutions, they are visionary. Because
Mm-hmm.
I always say that women like Kirabai, today she makes a poem on uh, climate. She talks about it in her poem.
Mm-hmm.
And in one of her poems, she says that the earth is giving us the agricultural produce, giving us the food grains, the trees are giving us fruits. Everybody in this ecosystem, either it is trees, earth, and rain, we are getting it from that ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
Human beings are there who are just taking everything, they are not giving.
Giving
So
back.
we have to give. And I felt like, and then Kirabai, when she says that, it was very interesting that when we give, the whole concept of giving is like more like a nurturing and making the ecosystem rich. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that in spite of so many challenges, they have so much to offer.
Yes.
That is a
So,
big.
so inspiring, so very inspiring. You know, you are a 1980s university graduate, but you are a 21st century leader. Definitely, for sure. When you could work out a situation where you can take a modern technological tool or a modern technological requirement of a PIN access and convince them to use biometrics and face recognition, it's clear that you've got very wide thinking about the development and the opportunities for these ladies. Do you think that technology then is going to be the driving force for growth and development for women, especially the more disadvantaged women?
and and this is such an important question. Actually, when now we are working with women farmers also,
Hmm.
and we are doing like on one side we are designing the product for the bank, where these farmers they can increase their yield and reduce their cost so they get profitability. I mean, everybody talk about climate change and everything, but I always feel that who will be the champion of climate change? These farmers will be the champion. And how will they be? I mean, they are in remote areas. There is so much of challenge of connectivity, all these things. But when we just set up the agriculture and soil testing center for farmers, and
Mm-hmm.
we have soil sakhis. With
Mm-hmm.
these women go to the women farmers, they take the soil and test it, and
Mm-hmm.
then advise them that, give them crop cycle, that
Yes.
so that they cannot end up using lot of fertilizers and pesticides. And
Okay.
last 2 years we have been doing, and we saw that so much of use of fertilizers have reduced, and we have so much of data from where we can tell farmers that, okay, how much your soil has improved, and
Mm-hmm.
this will help you to they are getting higher yield. So technology is there in every area, because in country like India, you will see like finest engineers, computer engineers, who are serving multinationals and providing them those services.
Mm-hmm.
But in the farming, in the agriculture sector in India, these farmers are actually not technology. So technology in the banking, technology in the farming, I mean agriculture, and the most important aspect, we are now in the world of AIs, right? Everybody
Mm-hmm.
is talking artificial, I mean, and intelligence and chat GPT. You're talking
Mm-hmm.
about or deep seek, all these things. But when we have this data of the soil of the farmers,
Mm-hmm.
how can we get the benefit of these AIs that actually help farmers to improve their soil,
Mm-hmm.
to reduce the carbon emissions, because they are going to reduce that. And
Mm-hmm.
but the most important part is that they should earn. Their
Yes.
livelihood should be sustained. They
Yes.
should increase the profitability. So
Mm-hmm.
I always feel that the technology is actually, they have missed the bus of education. They
Mm-hmm.
couldn't complete high school, but now technology has come to their doorstep,
That's
and
right.
people, they can really change. So I'm so proud to share with you that today actually our women farmers, they are producing one of the best pomegranate, one of the best mangoes, and
Mm.
selling in the global market. But at the same time, they are also taking care of the soil and
Soil.
enriching and nurturing the soil. So I always say, and it's very interesting that we talked about Kerabai, right? She
Mm-hmm.
has not gone to the school, but she is making a great poems on climate. So that is her ancient
Yes.
intelligence there, right?
That's
And when
right.
on the other side there is a artificial intelligence. So
Mm-hmm.
if ancient intelligence and artificial intelligence marry each other, I
Yes.
think we will have a very different world where you actually respect the community wisdom,
Mm-hmm.
you actually be a humane, but at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, use the technology in such a way that your parameters of human freedom and parameters of human rights actually are escalated.
Absolutely. So clearly, modernization does not mean doing away with what was, but it is bringing them together. That's excellent. But in thinking about modernization, if you were to take Mandishi Bank into the realm of the stock exchange, as I read, do you see that there's a likelihood it would disrupt that focus on the micro women-led businesses?
So yes, and actually, how did we think of? The first is that when women-led businesses, they require a capital, right?
Mhm, mhm,
And women-owned businesses, they don't have collateral.
mhm,
And actually, the whole financial sector, we do talk about microcredit a lot, and
mhm.
microcredit has helped. And in country like India, microcredit was more than $80 billion industry, but it did not graduate from microcredit to micro enterprise.
Mhm.
Why? Because these microcredit was in group, and everybody invested and earned lot of money. Why? I mean, bankers also provided, but how did they earn money? Because poor people repaid on time,
Yes.
and they said that, we are bankable. They proved
Mhm,
that. But
mhm,
the capital capital which came to in microcredit, that capital did not take the risk. When I'm saying that
Mm.
capital did not take the risk,
Yes.
what I mean to say is that group lending was there, but
Mm-hmm.
individual lending without collateral never picked up. So it's very important that we invest in women-led businesses, women-owned businesses. And when you set up the business, these businesses are individual women business, but
Mm-hmm.
women do not have collateral. So you have to design a product in such a way that, so Mandeshi has done is that we have designed a credit rating tool, because women do not have a credit rating. They are
Mm-hmm.
first time borrower. They don't have any history. So you
Mm-hmm.
create the credit rating tool and de-risk the lender, because
Mm-hmm.
lender also feels that if I give a loan to women, she does not have a collateral. If her business fail, then the bank will lose the money. So you
Mm-hmm.
have to innovate and design the product and even de-risk the lender. How would you
Mm-hmm.
do that? With the
Mm-hmm.
technology, you get the digital history of those women. You can
Right.
make a working capital. Based
Mm-hmm.
on that, decide the amount to give them loan for micro enterprise. And if these women, so I always say, and when I was going to DAB, I mean, we are talking about stock exchange and women-owned enterprise. I was going to Davos to do co-chairing World Economic Forum in 2018.
Yes.
I asked our women. I always, when I do something like this, I go to seek advice from women. So I asked our women that, what should I go and tell there? You know what our women said? They said that, and I was telling that, people come there and talk about billion and trillions of capital. So women said that you go and tell them that, that you may talk about billions and trillions of capital, but for us, our courage is the capital. And I always felt that, these women have been able to capitalize their courage. But people, those who have capital, they are not courageous enough
Enough.
to invest the
Yes.
capital and create
Yes.
the disruption in these women-led enterprise. So
Yes.
when we set up the pension product, we went to Stock Exchange Board of India and say that, have a SIPs, a small premiums, where
Mm-hmm.
women can actually save in a stock exchange board, in a pension fund, and get the pension. In similar way, now I'm sitting on the social board of social stock exchange, and where we are now saying that on social stock exchange the investors come with the micro investors investments and should invest in women owned businesses, but these small investors, they cannot invest individually. So the
Mm-hmm.
stock exchange board has to create the such platforms for
Right.
small investors,
Mm-hmm.
where these women can get investment
Mm-hmm.
for their business, small capital, micro
Mm-hmm.
capital for their business, to set up and get the capital for business. So on the one side, banking sector should do financial inclusion. On the
Mm-hmm.
other side, stock exchange boards should have the micro platforms where the investment for micro enterprise comes. I know I'm talking too much of finance, but it's all the wisdom of women who actually taught me that we
Mm-hmm.
have gone to the central bank and we made them that you should give a license to the first rural women's bank. Now we should go to the Stock Exchange Board of India and say that create a platform for micro investment for micro businesses also. So these women are the driving force for me to go to Stock Exchange Board of India.
Well, that makes me want to ask, are you ever approached by men for help in their personal development?
Very, very important question. And it was so, when we were setting up the bank, like 27 years before when we got the license, and everyone, men in the community were making fun of women. They were teasing them, Kachra Bank, Kachra Bank. Kachra means the garbage. And they were
Okay.
teasing our women that you won't be able to do it, you cannot clean the garbage. How are you going to set up the bank? And when we constructed a new building of the bank, our women said that we are bound to tell all the men here that you were teasing us, but now we have one of the best institution in the area. And after this, so many men are also approaching that why don't you design? Men can save in Mandeshi there. Men,
Mm-hmm.
so why don't you design a credit product for us? And I
Mm-hmm.
had to say that we have an expertise for women in finance. We
Mm-hmm.
don't have an expertise for men in finance. Having
Oh,
said that, Having said that,
yeah.
we are working with men farmers
Mm-hmm.
because we do feel that it is important. They are
Mm-hmm.
part of the community, number one.
Yes, yes.
Wait, why not? So, yes, now we have started working with the men. We have started with the women, with the men farmers, and
Mm-hmm.
let's see how it goes. But it is very, very important. And why I started thinking also, I'll tell you that many times one of our women, she got an award as an exemplar businesswoman. And when she got the award, she was actually making the cane product.
Mm-hmm.
And she was not very rich, but by making this different bamboo products,
Mm-hmm.
she started a business and she was earning pretty good amount. And she was awarded by one very famous police officer, women police officer. And she had that picture of her. She displayed the picture outside her village. Her husband used to drink every day and loiter around.
Mm-hmm.
But when this picture was displayed, everyone in the village was very proud of her that she has set up such a great business. And then they called her husband, and all the men called her husband, and they said, are you not feeling ashamed that your wife is given an award and she's going to Delhi, flying to Delhi, and you are drinking and loitering? And he came to me, he met me, and he said, I'm so sorry. I was doing all this, but I've changed now. I'm supporting her. So it's very interesting that these women's wisdom is changing the society. And it is very
Yes.
important to invest in men also.
Yes, but your tenacity, you're developing women, you're developing the society, you're developing the nation. This is just absolutely exciting. I'm so impressed. Chetna, has anyone ever told you that you inspire them to the same level that Jayaprakash Narayan inspired you?
You know, I mean, I don't know how much time we have, and but I would say like how one gets inspired. I would just like to share one another. For me, it was so important that one of the person who was visually challenged, he couldn't see, and there was a marathon in Mumbai
Mm,
where you had to, you had to have a buddy who is actually a specially abled person, and
mhm,
you have to run with that person.
mhm,
So I decided, my son, that we decided, okay, we will run with two people from our community who were
mhm,
actually visually challenged, and decided to participate in that. And then when we were running, I felt as like, when we were running in the marathon, I was trying to explain that his name was gained, that, we are running beside the sea, there is a sea. I just wanted him to imagine. You know
yes.
what he said? We are running marathon. This will be my first award. Be focused. Let us run. Tell me those things later. And I did realize that he's so focused. And then we got an award together for
Mhm,
running the marathon and finishing.
mhm,
And then after getting the award, the very big news was published in the newspaper that,
mhm,
Kane got an award for running the marathon. So he came with the cup and the news to me, and he said that, I was listening when you were telling me everything, but I wanted to not miss the award because that was my first award in my life. But now I dream of those things. I
Oh,
was just so like amazed by
Oh,
this person.
spirit.
He said that I cannot see, but I am dreaming our marathon. I'm dreaming we are running beside the sea. And
See,
these people actually inspire me that in that whole such situation also he had so many positive things to share with me. So
yes,
inspiration I get from people like Gain.
yes. Mrs. Chetna Gala Sinah, thank you. Thank you for sharing all of this information with us. Thank you for speaking with us. I am quite sure that the listeners will find all that you have said very, very informative and interesting to see the humanistic way that you do what you do. Thank you.
Namaste. Thank you so much, and I just enjoyed sharing my experiences.
Thank you. Listeners, we have been speaking with an extraordinary human being, a woman from India working wonders for the rural women of India, and I dare say, an inspiration to women around the world of what a female NGO leader is all about. Thank you for listening. Please tune in again when we speak with another dynamic female NGO leader.